Right now, we just see that the antennas moving. However, yung does it like ano, yung parang would it be more visually interesting if we see na suddenly yung paglipad nila it's disoriented or something, yung may visceral response sila. Um, so yun. And then we have here a the king of the grasshoppers. And the king of the grasshoppers whisk Islana and Tarsho away, and then they see the forest spirits. These are forest spirits, yes. Um, Drifting here because the forest has been destroyed. And then eventually, the king of the grasshopper says, "Tarsho, Islana, kayo, it's your parang your duty to like revive the forest and everything. Here's a giant tambuli at the top, the giant tambuli over here, and then Tarsho essentially uses it to magnify the voice, yung cry, and supposedly drives the grasshoppers away. Ayan. So you did it, Tarsho, and then we're gonna like repopulate the land with trees. So that's basically it. So I'm gonna go back to yung comments ko. So what I did was try to set it up into the major beats. So here are the major beats na na-establish natin. I'm gonna zoom in for a bit. So with all your stories, ganito ideally, parang when I plan out a story or when I check a story, I would see if I can break it down into clean beats. So for Tarsha's Mighty Cry, medyo it's clean. Clean naman yung beats natin na we are introduced to Islana and Islana meets Tarsho. Eventually, they discuss what Tarsho needs to do, go up to a mountain and use the tambuli. And Islana says, okay, I'll go with you, but you have to promise to protect me. Second major beat, that's the adventure. They start. Ang sinabi ni Sir James is they go from the ordinary world, so this is the ordinary world, and they enter a new world. The grasshopper makes a first wave attack, and Tarsho demonstrates yung cry niya. Sa third major beat, there's a second attack wave, and the grasshopper king basically arrives. So they travel to the mountain, and then the grasshopper king reveals the truth na the grasshoppers are actually corrupted. Um, and then the goal is to drive the grasshoppers away, and then to replant. So they reach the top of the mountain. Tarsha uses the tambuli to make the mighty cry. The grasshoppers leave, and we're left with the denouement. So the denouement is the conclusion of conclusions of this story, and yeah. So the story is basically finished. So all of these were set up very cleanly. Kitang kita, we see the major beats in there. The one thing that when we have these major beats, the first thing that I want to look for is the distribution of the pages. As much as possible, parang you want to make the distribution of the pages pantay-pantay. In the sense na right now, we have 20 pages. There are 20 pages here. Hindi dapat masyadong nagkakalayo yung each of the major beats. So the first comment I have about Tarsha's Mighty Cry right now is the first beat is 6 pages, and then the second beat is half. It's a major drop to 3 pages. The third beat is 5 pages. The fourth beat is 5 pages. So ang nangyari, one of the comments kasi when the other mentors read Tarsha's Mighty Cry, one of their comments was parang konti yung challenge, yung ganon. So if you read the book, you'll notice that um, yung we don't actually see the grasshoppers really attacking anyone. Di ba, nakita ninyo sa comics pages, it's like, yeah, they're in the village and then people are running, pero we don't really see the threat that much. We don't see na, so like, I'm gonna put something here. Here are my comments. So, here it says, why don't they, well, first of all, when Islana asked, back, why are the trees dead? And then Tarsha says, I don't know, which is weird because he lives in the trees. That's just a little bit na medyo malabo. So you might need to adjust that, Miguel. There's really no big difference if,
Okay po.
diba, if Tarsha says na because the grasshoppers did it. Then we emphasize the difficulty. So we need the idea that the reward is earned after hard work. Right now, parang ang bilis, parang ang dali. So we heighten the action. It's very possible na Tarsho is threatened. Parang we need to see na in some way parang maybe Tarsho gets knocked off or nabalibag siya, yung ganyan, by a grasshopper. And then we also show Islana actually saving him in some way. Because right now, Islana, yes, is parang bida siya. Pero if you think about it, parang wala siya masyadong ginawa. Parang naging kasama lang siya ni Tarsho on this journey. And in terms of contribution to the story, parang medyo kulang. Especially at the end, nung sinabi ni Grasshopper King na, oh, I chose you because I want you to replenish the land with ganyan-ganyan. Such a big responsibility given to a girl na wala masyadong ginawa sa kwento. Yung ganon. So, parang we need her to earn that. So, one of the things that I mentioned was here. So, number one, in the beginning of the story, the suggestion is demonstrate the stakes and the threat. What does that mean? What are the grasshoppers actually after? Nakita natin na nakapatong sila sa houses, nakapatong sila sa trees, but they're not really eating anything. Diba? So, it's nice to see what they're actually destroying. Showing how they actually altered the landscape. So nakalagay dito, do they eat the trees? Because we don't actually see them eating the trees. Maybe show a grasshopper assaulting one human. And then makikita ni Islana and then tatakbo siya. Yung ganon. Para it's clear to Islana what the threat really is. And it's also clear to the reader. Another thing is the place of Islana in this entire story. Did I write it here? Okay, I did not write it here yet. I would also suggest that yung when I'm gonna write it here. When Islana wakes up. So this is before magpakilala si Tarsho. When Islana wakes up, maybe she sees a small tree. Yung maliit lang na tree, sapling, ganyan. And then decides to unearth it and place it in a bag. May dala siyang bag and parang yun ang poprotektahan niya ngayon. So when they, parang it's like, in this particular instance, when I go back up, so at the beginning we just see Islana running from the diba? We see Islana running here. Yeah. So running, and then she emerges in this desolate place. It would be nice na if she sees a little tree and then she decides, I'm going to pocket this tree kasi siya lang nabubuhay. I want to keep it alive. And then she meets Tarsho. Yung ganon. So parang it portrays Islana as, I want to protect nature din. Para pagdating ni Grasshopper King at sinabi, I chose you, we know why the Grasshopper King chose Islana. Because kitang-kita na she wants to protect the environment. So that's number one. Secondly, secondly is because the grasshoppers are attracted to trees, di ba? We show that the grasshoppers are eating the trees. So if Islana is carrying a sapling of a tree, she would actually attract the grasshoppers. So the grasshoppers would want to attack them, di ba? So that will happen now later on. Maybe somewhere pagdating nila sa well here, di ba? So I'm guessing it's because of the grasshoppers crack. What's that? So ganyan, nandyan na. And then someone might say na maybe Tarsha says, you have a tree, they're after the tree. Yung ganyan. So at least magko-connect na. Magko-connect yung everything like falls into place. And then here you have the first attack of Tarsho. They here medyo nagingisay siguro. Hindi lang naka-freeze, maybe nagingisay sila or something. And then when the second wave happens, and the attack happens, pwedeng mangyari na Tarsho tries to cry again because it worked the first time, pero for some reason, mananock off siya. Parang maybe may tumama sa kanyang malaking twig or something. And then, Islana tries to help Tarsho. Yon, para may konting fight scene naman si Islana before lumabas na si Grasshopper King. Yung ganyan. Para at least medyo we can tie everything together. Ayun. So going back now to my spreadsheet. Miguel, how does that sound so far?
Good po. Maganda.
Okay naman. Yeah, so kumbaga,
Opo.
we're just making those adjustments, but we're not deviating from your story. It's still your story.
Mm.
We're just attaching things together. Yung ganon. Um, and then some unanswered questions that I don't know if you're still willing to because this is a kid's story. Matanong ang bata, 'di ba? Parang a kid when
Mm.
may 'di ba a kid, why did ganyan sila, 'di ba? So Grasshopper King can mention that the plant that Islana saved. So this is the payoff for her actions. Ito yung reward ni Islana. She survived because she actually saved the plant. Ganon. And then the question is, sabi na, if the Grasshopper King is the king, why can't he stop the grasshoppers? Anong sagot?
Hindi ko po
Ayun. So,
sure.
di ba, something to think about. So,
Mm.
while we're building stories, sometimes we need to anticipate what others might ask. So, in a way, we're being a bit praning, a bit paranoid. So, just in case someone asks, may ready answer tayo. Yun.
Okay po.
And then the next thing is, how will planting trees stop the hunger and corruption? Ito yung quote kasi ni Grasshopper King. There is hunger and corruption in the grasshoppers. So Islana, you have to plant and replenish the trees. So anong connection nun? Kailangan, how will planting trees stop the hunger and corruption? Alam natin sa story